Cinephile Mike is here, and it is day 53 of Oscar Rewind. We are moving along this season, and I am bringing you my bi weekly series of videos where I revisit the films that reflect the earlier work of this past year's Oscar winners and nominees. As always, I'll be discussing the awards history for the film, the box office information, critical response, and as always, the reviews will be spoiler free. You can find all older episodes here on the YouTube channel, or you can head over to my website, cinephilemike.com, for a lot of other great reviews, videos, and lots of great content. So, for those of you who remember the mid to late 80s and the 90s, remember those remember those good old days of the music video? You would turn on MTV or VH1, pop up video, top 10 countdown, see all the hits. Well, today is all about not. It's all online, right? Vimeo and Gone are the classic channels. They're reality TV now, but MTV, it's still going strong with the VMAs, which, if you are watching this on release day, are tomorrow. They were originally scheduled for today, but they have been postponed due to the presidential debate. But I couldn't not keep moving forward with Rewind because I felt I needed to do a film that recognized music or a musical around VMA time, so that's why we're here. And to that end, today we are discussing DreamWorks and Paramount Pictures' glitzy musical Dreamgirls. Written and directed by Bill Condon, based on the 1981 musical of the same name that was written by Henry Krieger and Tom Ian, Dreamgirls landed in theaters as the Christmas season release for 2006. A box office success, Dreamgirls, by the end of its original theatrical run, made just about double its reported 75 to $80 million budget. Domestically, the film made $103,365,956 and an additional $52,064,379 internationally. And when you add those two together with a small 25,966 that came from a small 2021 re-release in South Korea, the film sits today with a worldwide total of $155,456,301. Critically, the film was also well received, being certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a critical score of 79%, coming from 209 reviews, and a 71% audience score made up of over 250,000 ratings. So, why does a musical that many feel is a alternate history to the story of Diana Ross and the Supremes, not exactly true, not too far off, but also this story of the Motown music industry in the 60s, land on Rewind? Well, not just because of the VMAs, I'm a little too good for that. uh, and you might think it's one of the performances, but it's not. We're actually here for a man named Willie D. Burton, or as he was credited on Dreamgirls, Willie Burton. Burton was nominated this past year as part of the sound team that was nominated for Oppenheimer. He served as the production sound mixer, a job he also had on Dreamgirls. Now, some people have told me they don't always know what all these roles are when they're here, so I want to say, as the sound mixer, Burton was the one responsible to ensure that high quality sound was recorded on the set. And this is especially critical in a musical type film where you're blending music and singing and talking and sound effects and the whole nine yards. And fun fact, this nomination that he got this year was part of the Oppenheimer team, which ultimately they did lose to the Zone of Interest for its disturbing sound effects and sound work. This marked the first time he had been nominated since 2007, which was also when he won. And if you're paying attention, yes, the last time Burton was at the Oscars was for Dreamgirls, which is where he was part of the team that won. This was one of the two Oscars that Dreamgirls would win out of its 8 nominations, with the other one being Best Supporting Actress for the film's breakout star, Miss Jennifer Hudson. The other 6 nominations were for Best Supporting Actor for Eddie Murphy, Best Art Direction for the art director John Muir and set decorator Nancy Haig. It was nominated for Best Costume Design for Sharon Davis and had 3 Best Original Song nominations that were shared between the team of Henry Krieger, coming back to add music to the original musical, and his collaborators Scott Cutler and Previn Saida Garrett and Willie Reel for the three original songs for the film: Listen, Love You I Do, and Patience. Side note, if you didn't see the Oscars in 2007, I recommend Googling this performance that was done by our three Dreamgirls: Beyonce, Jennifer Hudson, Nika Noni Rose. It was quite a wonderful medley to behold. Now, aside from the Oscars for other awards, Hudson was really the star of this film, and she went on to win pretty much every award and was nominated for everything. She won the Best Supporting Actress or Breakout Performer awards from the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, the Critics' Choice, the SAG Awards, the National Board of Review. It was like nobody could touch her. And also, not too far behind was Murphy. He did pretty well, picking up the Best Supporting Actor at the Golden Globes, the Critics' Choice, and the SAG Awards, and also an Oscar nomination. And he was a heavily favored one to win since he'd been cleaning up as Hudson has, but ultimately he lost that Oscar to Alan Arkin for the pot smoking grandpa in Little Miss Sunshine. Winning the Golden Globe for Best Picture, Musical, or Comedy, there were many other awards that the film won or was nominated for, and including various recognition for writer-director Condon. Beyonce, as a lead actress, got some attention, and the soundtrack won and was nominated for a lot of awards, both in the film and the music industry. I could keep going on and on about awards, but I'm going to get into the film. So, for those who may not be in the know, Dreamgirls is the story of the Dreamettes, a girl band in the 1960s fronted by Effie, played by Hudson, and backing her up are Dina, played by Beyonce, and Laurel, played by Anika Noni Rose. One night performing at a club, they meet Curtis Taylor Jr., played by Jamie Foxx, a slick Cadillac salesman who passes himself off as a manager, and he convinces them to let him present them. And through some wheeling and dealing, he gets them to be backup singers for the big selling superstar Jimmy Thunder Early, played by Murphy. And through some interesting or questionable measures, Jimmy Early and the Dreamettes, they begin to become big. However, Curtis's plans don't always align with those of the others. While they were becoming big amongst select audiences, that wasn't what Curtis wanted. He wanted his music and acts like Jimmy Early and the Dreams to cross over and speak to all audiences, not just the colored audiences that were giving him the traction. And unfortunately, there were some other white acts that were stealing the music. And this, again, was part of why the film is also loosely based on some of the Motown song business dealings of the 60s and 70s. And he believes he has the power to cross over the act, but he can do this with the Dreamettes, who he renames the Dreams, without Jimmy. So there's a little bit of a divide here. And also, Effie, while she is the powerhouse vocalist with Hudson's voice, she doesn't have the marketable looks that Dina does have. Although the voice might not be as strong, but it's about the image. And so he relegates Effie to the back, moves Dina to the front, renames them the Dreams, and says, "This is how we are going to be a success." And, there is a little bit to this, but in addition to the business, there are some romantic entanglements and personal relationships that grow between Jimmy and Curtis and our three dreams and Effie's brother Cece, their songwriter, who I didn't talk much about in the summary, but he's in the mix, as well as other music professionals. And it all winds up into a big riff that culminates at the end of Act One, or about the halfway point of the movie. One heart-stopping musical number that most people are familiar with this film know, even if they haven't seen it. But then we see how this ripple effects and impacts the lives for the rest of them, as the film does cover about a 13-year period. So I have to say, my summary here is very simplified. I didn't really give much away because I don't want to spoil it, because this is a film worth watching to see how all of these things play out over the course of the 2 hours and 10 minutes. Dreamgirls was one of those musicals, it was really interesting, that did a good job crossing over from stage to screen. There had been other attempts in the early aughts like Rent and Phantom of the Opera, and while those films had some moments they couldn't quite seem to cross over, which was the challenge with Jimmy earlier, the Dreamettes in this, but the Dreams crossed over. Dreamgirls was able to cross over and was able to have an impact. And while they did tackle some of the bigger issues, there was nothing groundbreaking about it because they didn't fully explore some of the themes and the topics. They kind of gloss over them. But Condon still fills the screens with such lavish musical numbers and such a stylistic flair and a cast that's really so incredible and stacked that even though we have a little bit of a simplistic plot, they sell it. I mean, it's a rags to riches story we've seen, but that core group, Beyonce, Rose, Hudson, they're magnetic. They all have these powerhouse vocals, even though Beyonce needs to kind of turn it down a bit for the role of Dina, which is something we know is not necessarily because she, as a performer, is a powerhouse. So, seeing her soften that is quite unique. And Murphy in the supporting role is outstandably funny. He has some of the greatest comedic stealing moments in the film. Of the core cast, personally for me, while Fox, can play that kind of smarmy manager, he was the weakest link for me in the film. I mean, he's a villain to root against, but the others really kind of outshine him. But again, no more so than Hudson, as we all know, when she sings that lyric, I'm telling you, I'm not going. And, she is not going anywhere. Now, the design elements also are wonderful. The clothes, whether they're the simple basic looks or the lavish costumes, are gorgeous on a big screen. There's just enough glitter and glam to overshadow when we have to see a little bit more of the derelict and sadder parts of the story. And I have to say, Burton and his team, well done on the Oscar win for Dreamgirls. Because remember why they're here? It's the sound. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a musical film where I hear the music and can't understand the lyrics that are being sung or the sound effects get muddled out. He got that high quality. Everything was balanced. Every word sung is heard, and every sound effect is clear. It is a stellar, excellent masterclass in what sound could be. Again, really the only place I ding the film on, again, a bit is the script. There was so much missed opportunity to really dig into some of the issues with racial inequality and the music business that you really wanted to see them dig into a little bit more. And maybe for the musical in 1981, they couldn't do it. Given that we were, in the mid aughts, there could have been a way to kind of infuse a little bit more of that, but sadly, we don't get that. But I don't want to take away from what the film does. It's a solid 4-star film, great performances, excellent music. As of this recording and posting, it appears that you can catch Dreamgirls streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. However, if you are interested, I do recommend the unrated director's cut, which gives you an additional 10 minutes of content. I did enjoy seeing that, and the director's cut is available, not streaming, but it is available for digital rental or purchase on most digital platforms. So, there you have it. As always, if you like what you heard here, please click subscribe to the channel, spread the word. You can follow me on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd. Happy watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.